Hi everybody, we're going to be making chili rellenos today. It's definitely one of my favorites. If I go to a Mexican restaurant, this is what I have to order every time. And I know some people like it with meats inside of it, and if you do, just add your meat in there. I like cheese, and that's how I'm going to be making mine. The only difference I do for mine to make them keto friendly is I change out the carbalose. That's it. Everything else is keto friendly already. Anaheim pepper, eggs, carbalose flour, salt. Yeah, and then we're ready to go. So let's go put up our hair, put on our apron, and get this started. Okay, so this is what we're going to need for our recipe. We're going to need some eggs. We're going to use cheese. A lot of people like mozzarella or cheddar. I like the Colby Jack, and I like to get the little snack pieces so I don't even have to cut it. Lazy! This is the eggs already beaten. We need our chilies, obviously. If you live in New Mexico, grab some hatch chilies. But if you don't, Anaheim or Poblano will do fine. I like that Anaheim for where I am. And then our way to make it keto is the carbalose flour. I use about 1.5 cups. Most of it is for dipping, and about half of it's going to go into the egg mix. And then a teaspoon of salt. So that's, and about 1 gallon of oil. Slight exaggeration, but we want to get our pan at least 1 inch high on oil. And I'll tell you what, I use my oil until it no longer looks like oil again. Dunkin' Donuts has taught me a lot about cooking. Now we went ahead and roasted our chilies. Some people can buy them roasted. They smell so good in the process. I just have to put mine in the broiler, and then I put them in a bag for 20 minutes after, or foil. The foil you roasted them, that works too. And then the skins will start to separate. One of the wisest things that a cook can do is not leave the kitchen. I tend to get highly distracted and come back after things have gone too far. When they are good and toasty on one side, just flip them over to the other and broil them for another, 10 minutes? Just keep an eye on them. So we're going to leave them here to sweat for about 20 minutes. You just peel all that skin off. Now I kind of over roast mine, partially because I always forget and walk away from the stove. I'm really bad about that. And partially because if you don't, it's really hard to get the skin off. So I go the easy route. I become forgetful and I have an easy time taking the peel off. The one downside of that is that the chili will also peel apart very easily. So it's something you're going to be very careful with. They're going to be delicate. And then you're going to either de-seed them or not. And what I mean by that is, if you were me all by yourself, you'd de-seed them because it's just a cleaner taste. But if you were my husband, then you would leave the seeds in because they add a little bit of heat. So really, that's what it comes down to. If you like the heat, leave the seeds in. If you don't, take them out. I like to at least get, let me see, some of the clump off. I'll leave as much seed as I can in there. See how easily that peels? Don't even need a knife. First thing we're going to do is separate our egg whites from our yolks. And I am guessing I'll be using about 4 eggs in total today. Kind of gave that egg a hard whack. All right, so I'm going to beat the egg whites until they're stiff. Now, if your eggs are stiff enough to stay in the bowl, then they're ready. So now I'm just going to go ahead and whip up my yolk and fold it into the fluffy, stiff whites. don't want to damage the fluffiness. I want to keep it really fluffy, so I'm just lightly folding it. Okay, so this part is pretty self-explanatory. Everybody knows how to do this. Obviously, you put the cheese inside your slit of the chili relleno. You take out the seeds if you want it to be not as hot. You leave the seeds in if you want it to be hot. Now we're just going to go ahead and coat it in flour to help the egg mix adhere better to the chili. And then I'm just going to set them aside. All right. Once we've got them all done, we are going to wash the glue mess off of our mitts. Ta-da! Take our remaining flour, and I like about 1/4 of a cup, and maybe half a cup, for some people maybe, for me 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I am going to whisk this gently into my egg batter. Nice and fluffy. Okay, now, we are going to test our oil. Don't do this at home, guys. That's hot oil. All right, so change out my oil here. I will take that. Lots of you guys have been cooking for a long time, and many of you could probably tell me how to do this without dirtying my hands so much, but also without putting so much weight on the green chili. You want to make sure your oil is hot enough that it cooks the chili rellenos quickly. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a greasy taste, but not so hot that the oil is splattering all over the place. Once they start turning brown on the bottom, you can see like that. Just obviously give them a flip. And when they are cooked nice and brown, you just set them on a rack to dry. Or some people use paper towels. I prefer the rack. I prefer the rack. My English skills again. And I would love to recommend some nice beans or rice with these, but suck it, they're not keto. So I got my vegetable, I got my proteins, I'm gonna eat. One of my favorite parts are where the cheese actually falls out of the hole and crisps up so good. Fried food is delicious.
Yeah, but it's not fancy. You can't make fried food fancy.
Yeah. I'm a classy eater.
Good stuff.
I'm gonna put a little more salt on the next one.
Okay.